I've got a little arrangement done up and I want to play along and audition some different basses in real time to see which one I'm going to like and which might work best in the arrangement. I'm going to start with this one, Chapman Stick Full Range, and I'll try some others as I'm playing. Well, that's not working. It's still loading. It's taking way too long. I want to be able to switch quickly and audition parts as I'm playing, and I don't want to lose the creative flow. Now, there's a nice tool in Trillian to help with this, and it's called Preview Load mode. Now, there's two load modes. There's Preview Load and Auto Load, which is what we're in when this is not enabled. And Auto Load loads in all the samples, as it just completed right there, or at least all the samples as we have defined in the system memory management settings. But what we can do is turn on Preview Load and it'll flash, and what that does is it loads in a much smaller set of the samples that can be used for quick auditioning, and we set what range of samples we want it to load in the project settings here, in the project settings zoom. I'm going to click on that magnifier, and we'll see here the Preview Load note range. The default is just to load in that one note C3, but we can click hold optionally here and set a minimum and maximum range for how wide a range we want loaded in. I'll leave it in at this one pitch for now, so they'll load really quickly. And what happens is when you take it out of Preview Load mode, it'll load in the rest of the samples as it's doing now back in the default auto load mode. And also what you can do is just close up the browser and it'll automatically load the rest in. So this is just for previewing sounds, and I can switch quickly now. So I think you get the idea. I can audition really quickly using Preview Load. Now, another thing we can do when we're auditioning sounds, if you don't want to audition in context, we can, in the settings menu here, we can turn on Audition Autoplay. And when this is on, based on this setting, audition note, the C3, and the audition note length of 1 second, we can hear the sound simply by clicking on it here. That staccato sound was short because that was the sample. And again, if we put Preview Load on, we'll be able to audition these really quickly. Now, another thing we can do if we don't want to use the mouse is we can use the stepper buttons, and we can use the QWERTY keyboard for these. But an even better thing to do is MIDI learn these. Now, for example, let's say I'm going to try some synth-based sounds with this instead. I'll hit shuffle just to randomize these a bit, and let's hit one that sounds good to start with. All right, that'll work. Let me disable the audition autoplay. And now what I'm going to do is MIDI learn the stepper buttons so that I can control the auditioning of sounds away from my computer. Let's say I have my keyboard set up in another area of the room, and I don't want to be near my QWERTY keyboard. What I'm going to do is right-click here, or control-click, and I'm going to learn these. I can learn either with a MIDI CC number or a MIDI note learn. I'm going to use a note for now because I want to use my MIDI keyboard. And I'm going to choose a note in the high range. I'm going to choose a high B. There it is, B5. And now I'm going to MIDI learn this one. And I'll use C, C6. So now I can use these keys on my keyboard to change the sounds. And with Preview Load, these will load really quickly. So I can try some synth basses now to see what I like. So I think you get the idea. Completely away from my computer keyboard, I'm able to play my arrangement and change and audition sounds in context using the MIDI note learn in this case, or a MIDI CC learn. So that's a little idea of how you can audition sounds quickly from the patch browser. Just to summarize here, we can use preview load to be able to select sounds on the fly really quickly and have only a small sample set loaded in based on the range that's set here in the preview load note range. And alternatively, we can enable audition autoplay, in which case just clicking on a sound will audition it based on these settings here, which note pitch and for how long. And finally, we can MIDI learn the stepper buttons in order to audition sounds and switch sounds linearly on the fly away from the keyboard. In the next video, I'm going to continue and show you how to organize your patches into custom groupings called projects.